Hey everyone, and welcome to our deep dive. We're going to be tackling bookkeeping today. Is it, a good career path like in this day and age?
Yeah, that's a great question.
I think we've got a great source today, Terrell.
Yeah, Carell. He's an accounting expert.
He is. I think he's got over 20 years of experience.
Over 20 years, yep. And he helps people actually land entry-level accounting jobs.
So that's huge. Not just talking about it, he's actually putting it into practice.
Yeah.
So we're going to be pulling a lot from a YouTube video that he did where he kind of lays it all out. Demand for bookkeepers, the skills that you need, what kind of money you can make, and then that big question, do you need a degree?
Right.
So I think let's dive right into it. One of the things that he throws out right at the very beginning is this crazy statistic.
Yeah, he says there's like 156,000 unfilled accounting jobs.
Yeah, that's a lot.
That's a lot.
I mean, demand is crazy high right now.
Yeah.
Why do you think there is such a big gap, though, between the number of jobs and the number of qualified bookkeepers?
Well, he lists out, a few things. Fewer accounting grads.
Makes sense.
There's fewer coming in. The current workforce, they're getting ready to retire. They're aging out.
So fewer coming in, more leaving.
And then, on top of that, more businesses are popping up, and they all need bookkeeping services.
Oh, yeah. Every business needs that.
So it's a triple whammy.
Triple whammy. Yeah, so this seems like if you were looking for a job, this is a good field to be in.
Absolutely, yeah.
Now, one of the things that was really interesting that he kept saying over and over is like, AI is not going to replace this.
Yeah, he doesn't think AI is going to replace bookkeepers.
Yeah.
Which is interesting.
I thought that might be a concern. But he's like, no, this is still like very much, you need a person for it.
Yeah. You need a human to kind of make sense of all that data to catch those weird errors. Machines aren't perfect.
Right. And then I think also you need somebody who can advise, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Give smart advice.
Right. Give some strategy.
Yeah. Okay, so that's reassuring for anyone who's like, oh no, robots are coming for my job. No, they're not coming for your bookkeeping job.
Yeah, not yet at least.
Not yet. Okay, good. So what do they actually do all day, though? I think a lot of people, they hear bookkeepers and they're like, oh, okay, I kind of have an idea. But I bet there's more to it than they realize.
Right.
Like, what do they actually do?
Well, Terrell uses this really great analogy.
Okay.
He compares bookkeepers to, the director of a company's financial movie. So, they're organizing the flow of money in and out of the business.
So, making sense of it, right?
Yeah, making sense of it. It's not just numbers on a screen.
Yeah.
There's a story there.
So it's like financial storytelling in a way.
Yeah, exactly. Financial storytelling, exactly. So they, categorize and record every transaction. They make sure everything's accounted for.
Oh, wow.
So that gives businesses a really clear picture of their income, their expenses, their spending habits. And that's vital stuff for making, smart choices about the business.
Yeah. So it sounds like to be a bookkeeper, you really need to love, detail.
Organization is key.
Organization. That's a big one. But, is everyone cut out for this kind of work?
Well, that's, one of the things Terrell actually addresses.
Yeah.
And he says, the two must-have qualities for bookkeepers
Okay.
are a passion for organization.
Okay. So you really got to love it.
Yeah. Can't just be like, yeah, I'm kind of organized. You really need to love it.
Gotcha.
And then also a willingness to learn.
Oh, that makes sense. So you can't be afraid of learning new things.
Absolutely, yeah.
Do you think people underestimate that part of it?
I think so. Because it's not just being tidy, right? It's about creating order from what might look like total chaos.
Yeah. You're going into a business and maybe their books are a mess. And you're the one who's got to be like, okay, I'm going to make this make sense.
You got to see the patterns. You got to sort through the data. And then also, you got to be willing to learn new software.
Yeah. Tech is always changing.
Always changing.
There's always new accounting principles. You can't just be like, this is what I learned 20 years ago. I'm good.
Exactly. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. So the tech savvy part is one thing, but the organization, that's you can't teach that.
They've got to come from within.
Okay. All right. Now, this is something that kind of surprised me.
Okay.
Terrell said that bookkeeping is great for introverts and extroverts.
Yeah.
Now, I would think of bookkeeping as a solo, quiet, behind-the-scenes kind of job.
Right.
So how could an extrovert thrive in that kind of environment?
Well, there's a spectrum. There are some roles that are, pure number crunching. Like you're in your little office, you're just in the numbers.
Yeah.
And that's great for introverts.
Hmm.
But there are other roles where you're client facing. So, you're the one explaining the financial story.
Oh,
You're
interesting.
consulting with business owners.
Oh, so it's more like you're the translator. You're translating the numbers to people who don't speak numbers.
Exactly. Yeah. And some people thrive on that interaction.
So there's like different levels of interaction depending on, I guess, what your personality is and what you like.
Absolutely. Yeah. And what kind of role you're looking for.
Okay, so that's good. So if you're out there and you're like, oh, I'm an extrovert, I could never be a bookkeeper. No, no, no. There's room for you.
Yeah, there's definitely a place for you.
Okay. Now, this is probably the question on everyone's mind. Do you need a degree?
Yeah, that's the big one, right?
It seems like these days you need a degree for everything.
Right.
So what does he say?
He's very clear on this. You absolutely do not need a degree to land a bookkeeping job.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Wow. Why is that? Is it just because there's so much demand?
I think that plays a big role. Companies are just ditching the degree requirement
Mm-hmm.
because they need talent.
They need people who can do the job.
Right. And they need them now.
Yeah.
They're not looking for, just a degree. They want, skills and the ability to do the job.
Okay. So practical over like, oh, you've got this piece of paper that says you can do it.
Exactly.
But if you don't have a degree, what do you need to land that first bookkeeping gig?
Well, his advice is to hit the online job boards.
Okay.
He says there are tons of openings out there, so, just start applying.
So it's out there, people. The jobs are there.
Yeah.
You just got to go look for them.
You got to look for them.
And what about LinkedIn?
Yeah.
Because that's such a big one these days.
Yeah, he's a big fan of LinkedIn, especially for connecting with your network,
Mhm.
just letting people know that you're interested in bookkeeping and you're actively seeking a role. You never know who might know somebody who's hiring.
Right, right. That's a good point. So job boards, LinkedIn, we're checking those boxes. But what makes you stand out? What catches the eye of a hiring manager in a sea of applications?
It goes back to those key qualities, organization and a willingness to learn. Showcase those on your resume and highlight experiences that demonstrate them, even if they're not from traditional accounting jobs.
So even if you're coming from a totally different field, you can still translate those skills into something that's relevant to bookkeeping.
Absolutely. Like if you were, let's say, a project manager in a previous role.
Yeah.
You had to organize tasks, manage deadlines. Those are all relevant skills that you can highlight.
Yeah. You're basically saying I'm organized, I can get things done.
Exactly. And during your interviews, make sure you emphasize your willingness to learn new things, adapt to different situations, that kind of thing.
So even if your resume doesn't scream bookkeeping, you can still make a case for yourself. Okay, great. Now let's talk money. What's the earning potential for somebody just starting out in bookkeeping?
Well, Terrell says that a starting salary could be anywhere from $40,000 to $50,000 per year.
Not bad.
Not bad at all.
Especially for a job that doesn't require a college degree.
Right, exactly.
That's pretty good. But what about location? Does location matter?
Yeah, it definitely factors in. You're likely to see higher salaries in, big cities like California and New York.
Yeah, cost of living is higher.
Right. But, Terrell also points out that remote work is opening up some really exciting possibilities.
Oh, tell me more.
Yeah.
Because remote work, that's kind of the future, right?
It is. It is. And it means you could potentially earn like a big city salary while living somewhere with a lower cost of living.
Whoa. So it's almost like getting a raise just by working remotely for companies in those expensive cities.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's incredible. It really expands your options. Okay, now let's be honest, though. What about the long game? Can you actually build a six-figure career from this, starting as a bookkeeper?
Absolutely. Terrell lays out a pretty clear path. After a few years of experience, you can move into roles like senior accountant or analyst.
And those pay more, right?
Yeah, the pay bumps up significantly,
Yeah.
Once you have those skills and that experience under your belt.
So those are your stepping stone roles.
Yeah, like stepping stones. And then from there, as you gain even more experience, you could really branch out.
Oh, what kind of things could you do?
Well, you could go into financial analysis, tax accounting, auditing, or even pursue a CPA designation.
Oh, yeah, CPA. That's the gold standard.
Exactly.
So there's a ton of different directions you can go in.
A ton of options, yeah. It's
Yeah.
not just a dead-end job.
It's a launching pad.
Yeah, a launching pad.
I like that.
Okay.
Okay. Now, it's interesting to me that Terrell actually created a course with Course Careers to help people launch their bookkeeping careers. He could have just kept all this knowledge to himself.
Right.
So Why do you think he went this route? Like, why create a course?
I think he saw a need and decided to fill it. He's passionate about making this career path more accessible to people who might not have the means or time for a traditional four-year degree.
Yeah, that makes sense. College is expensive,
Super expensive.
and it takes a long time.
Yeah. So this is a way to get the skills you need without all that debt and time commitment.
It's like a faster track.
A faster track to a fulfilling career. Absolutely.
Okay. So what kind of knowledge and skills can someone expect to gain from this course? Like, what does he actually teach you?
Well, he starts with the fundamentals of accounting, but it's not just about the mechanics. He explains how accounting actually impacts every organization, no matter what industry they're in.
So he's setting the stage, giving you the big picture.
Yeah, exactly. He's like, okay, here's why accounting is important, and then he goes into the more technical stuff.
Got it. So what about the technical side?
Well, he dives into financial statements,
Mm,
teaching you how read and interpret them like a pro. Remember that movie analogy?
yeah, the financial movie.
Now you're actually analyzing the plot.
Okay. Okay, I like that. So you're learning how to make sense of the story that those numbers are telling.
Exactly. You can't tell the story, you can't read the language.
Right, right. What else does he cover?
He covers, those actual technical bookkeeping skills that you need to get the job done, like how to use accounting software, how to reconcile accounts, that kind of thing.
Okay, so that's like the hands-on part.
Yeah, the nitty-gritty. And here's something really cool. He actually explores 4 specific career paths within accounting:
Oh, cool.
payroll, billing, bookkeeping, and tax preparation.
So you get like a taste of everything.
Yeah, you get a taste of each one, which can help you figure out what you're most interested in.
Oh, that's smart because you might not know what you want to do. You just know you like the idea of accounting.
Exactly. And then, something a lot of people dread, he actually covers interview prep.
Oh, yeah. That's huge because you can have all the skills in the world, but if you can't sell yourself in an interview.
Right, it doesn't matter.
So what does he do for interview prep?
He goes over common interview questions and how to answer them effectively.
Okay. So he gives you like the insider tips.
Exactly. He wants you to be prepared and confident when you walk into that interview.
Okay. So we've been talking about this course for a while now. Is there any way to like sample it before you commit?
Yeah, absolutely. There's a free 3-part intro course.
Oh, perfect.
It's kind of like a test drive. You can see if you like Terrell's teaching style and if the material's what you're looking for.
So it's risk-free.
Totally risk-free.
Awesome. All right. So we've given you a lot to think about, but I think we've only just scratched the surface of the bookkeeping world.
Yeah, there's so much more to explore.
So much more.
And we're just getting started.
We're just getting started. So stay tuned for more bookkeeping goodness in our next part. Okay, so we're back and we are going to continue our deep dive into bookkeeping.
Deep dive into bookkeeping.
I'm still really impressed by Terrell, how much he wants to help people,
Yeah.
He really seems to want people to succeed in this field.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's inspiring, right? It shows he genuinely wants people to get into this career and succeed.
Yeah.
And he's not just focused on the hard skills either.
Mm-hmm.
He talks a lot about, the mindset you need to thrive in bookkeeping.
Okay, yeah, so confidence.
Confidence, communication skills,
Yeah.
problem-solving abilities,
Mm.
being able to think on your feet. That's a big one.
Yeah. Because it's one thing to know how to balance the books, right?
Right.
But it's another thing to have the confidence to present that information and, problem solve when things go wrong.
Absolutely.
Because things always go wrong, right?
Right.
In life and in business.
Right. And he actually emphasizes being proactive. A good bookkeeper doesn't just sit back and wait for instructions.
Yeah.
They're digging into the details. They're, looking for, those discrepancies and trying to find solutions.
So it's almost like being a financial detective.
Yeah.
A little bit. You got to spot those things that are off.
Exactly. Yeah. And, there's a real sense of accomplishment that comes with, problem solving like that.
I can see that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be very fulfilling. Okay, so let's step back for a second
Okay.
and think about bookkeeping in the bigger picture of finance and accounting.
Okay. Yeah.
Where does it fit in?
Well, it's often seen as the gateway to the accounting world.
Okay.
It gives you that foundation in, those core principles and practices that really underpin, the entire field of accounting.
Okay, so it's the base. and then you can build on top of that.
Exactly, yeah.
So that's why it's such a good, like, stepping stone to those more specialized role, right?
Right, like the senior accountant or analyst positions we talked about earlier.
Yeah.
Exactly, yeah. And from there,
Yeah.
as you gain more experience, you can branch out even further, into like financial analysis, tax accounting, auditing, or you could even like pursue like a CPA designation.
So the possibilities are pretty broad.
Oh, yeah. It's not a dead-end job by any means.
It's a launching pad.
It is a launching pad, absolutely.
Okay, I like that. I like that visual.
Yeah.
Um, okay. So let's go back to Terrell's course for a minute.
Okay.
We talked about like the content, what he teaches,
Right.
but like, what's it actually like learning from him? What's his teaching style like?
That's a good question. Because, a good course isn't just about information overload. It's about like how that information is presented.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, can you actually digest it? Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So, Terrell is known for being really down to earth.
Okay.
He's practical.
Okay.
He doesn't get bogged down in like all the jargon.
Yeah.
He explains things in a way that like anyone can understand. And he uses a lot of like real world examples and analogies.
Yeah. Okay. So it's not like reading a textbook.
No, it's not dry at all. It's very engaging.
Okay. Good. Good. Because I think accounting can sometimes be perceived as like very dry.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
But he makes it fun. He makes it interesting. And like his passion for accounting, it just shines through.
Okay.
Like he's genuinely invested in helping his students succeed.
And that makes a difference.
It really does.
Okay, good. Now let's talk about online learning for a second.
Okay.
Because like some people might be skeptical. Can you really learn like a skill-based profession like bookkeeping online?
Yeah, that's a good point. But, online learning has come a long way.
It has.
And for a field like bookkeeping, which is already like heavily digital,
Yeah,
it
yeah.
actually makes a lot of sense.
Okay.
And Terrell's course, it's very interactive. It's
Yeah.
got, practice exercises, quizzes, even simulations.
Yeah.
So, you're not just passively watching videos.
Oh, you're actually like doing the things.
You're actually doing it. You're getting that like hands-on experience.
That's huge.
Yeah. And of course, you have the flexibility to like learn at your own pace.
Right. Like if you need to go back and like rewatch something, you can.
Exactly. And you can fit your studies around your life,
Yeah.
which is a huge bonus for a lot of people.
Yeah, work-life balance. Okay, now let's talk about certification.
Okay.
Do you absolutely need one to get a bookkeeping job?
So Terrell's pretty clear on this. For entry-level roles, you typically don't need a certification.
Okay.
You can jump in and start building experience, get your foot in the door.
Yeah, get that experience.
Exactly. He does say, however, that like getting certified later on can definitely boost your credibility
Okay.
and potentially, increase your earning potential.
Okay. So it's something to think about, like down the road.
Yeah, it's like a nice to have, but not a need to have when you're just starting out.
Okay. Now, this is something I'm always curious about, like continuous learning.
Yeah.
Bookkeeping is constantly evolving, right?
Right.
So how do you stay on top of everything?
Terrell is like a huge advocate for continuous learning.
Okay.
He stresses staying up to date on the latest software,
Yeah.
trends in the field, changes to tax laws,
Because that stuff changes all the time.
all the time. You can't just learn the basics and coast.
You can't be like, I'm good. No, you always got to be learning.
Exactly, yeah. And there's like a ton of ways to do this,
Yeah.
like going to workshops,
Okay.
joining like professional organizations, taking online courses, keeping up with industry publications.
So you gotta like be in it. You gotta
Yes.
be in the world.
We got to stay engaged. You got to have that growth mindset, always be learning, always be evolving.
Okay, cool. So what about career changers? What advice does Terrell have for somebody like making a big leap into bookkeeping from a totally different field?
Well, he encourages focusing on those transferable skills.
Okay.
What did you learn in your previous roles that could be valuable in bookkeeping?
So it's like you're looking at your resume, and even if it doesn't scream like bookkeeper, you're like, okay, but I was really good at organizing things in my last job, or I was really good at, problem solving or communicating.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
It's about reframing your experiences.
Right.
He also suggests like networking and finding mentors who can help you, kind of guide you through that transition.
Yeah. Yeah. Find somebody who's already done it.
Exactly.
Okay, cool. So technology is like changing everything.
Yeah.
And bookkeeping is no exception.
Right.
What are some trends that like aspiring bookkeepers should be aware of?
Well, he highlights the rise of cloud-based accounting software,
Okay.
which is like a total game changer.
Game changer, how so?
Well, it allows bookkeepers to work remotely.
Okay,
They
yeah.
can collaborate with clients seamlessly.
Oh, that's huge.
It is. And it helps automate like a lot of those tedious tasks that used to take forever.
So, like, it's making your job easier?
Yeah, it's making it more efficient. It's freeing up your time so you can focus on the bigger picture.
Okay, so we got to embrace technology. We can't be afraid of it.
Absolutely, yeah. Embrace the tools that are going to make you better at your job.
Yeah.
And he's a big believer in developing strong data analysis skills.
Okay. Data analysis. That sounds very techy.
It is, but it's essential because businesses are generating more data than ever before. So bookkeepers need to be able to extract insights from that data.
So it's not just about like inputting numbers. It's about like understanding what those numbers mean.
Exactly. And being able to present them in a way that makes sense. Tell the story.
Tell a story.
Right.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, that's what bookkeeping is all about.
Financial storytelling.
Financial storytelling, exactly.
Okay, so interviews.
Yeah.
This is a part that like a lot of people get nervous about.
Right.
What are some common questions that like aspiring bookkeepers should be prepared to answer?
Well, Terrell says to expect behavioral questions.
Behavioral questions. What are those?
These are questions designed to see, like, how you've handled situations in the past. Your thought process, how you approach challenges, that kind of thing.
So it's not just about what you know, it's about how you apply that knowledge.
Exactly. He also mentioned that you might get some, like, technical questions thrown your way just to test your understanding of, like, basic principles and procedures.
Okay.
So, be prepared to talk about, accounting concepts, software applications, industry best practices.
Brush up on your knowledge.
Yeah, exactly. But he also emphasized the importance of asking your own WN questions during the interview.
Oh, yeah.
That's a big one.
Because it shows you're engaged.
It shows you're engaged. It shows you've done your homework. You're genuinely interested.
It's a two-way street. You're interviewing them just as much as they're interviewing you.
Absolutely.
Okay. Work-life balance. Can you have that in a career in bookkeeping?
Well, Terrell actually brings this up in his video.
Right.
And he's a big advocate for remote work, which, can offer a lot more control over your schedule.
So it's not necessarily like chained to a desk 9 to 5.
Not at all. Not at all. He also emphasizes, the importance of setting boundaries, prioritizing self-care, and finding a company culture that respects that balance between work and life.
So it's about finding that work environment where you can like thrive, not just survive.
Exactly, yeah. Find a place where you feel valued and where your well-being is a priority.
Okay, good. So career advancement.
Yeah.
How do you move from like entry level to those more senior positions?
Well, Terrell says continuous learning is key. Stay current on industry trends, certifications, and just always be looking for ways to like expand your knowledge base.
So it's about being proactive, showing that you're committed to growth and development.
Exactly. He also stresses building like solid relationships with colleagues and clients. Proving your reliability, taking initiative, going above and beyond in your role. Not just waiting for opportunities, but creating them.
Create your own opportunity.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
And as you move forward, you might consider specializing. Maybe you focus on tax or audit or financial analysis.
Yeah, yeah. Becoming an expert in like your little niche.
Exactly.
Okay, cool. Now, we talked earlier about like the rise of cloud-based software.
Right.
What about like AI and automation?
Yeah, that's a big one.
Are those things gonna like change the bookkeeping game completely?
Well, Terrell acknowledges that AI and automation will probably take over some of those like routine tasks, like data entry, basic reconciliation.
Right, the stuff that nobody really wants to do anyway.
Exactly, yeah. But he's adamant that they won't replace human bookkeepers altogether.
So it's not robots coming for your jobs?
Not at all. Not at all. He actually sees it as an opportunity. It frees up bookkeepers to focus on those higher level tasks that require human judgment. Things like data interpretation, providing insights, and being like a trusted advisor to clients.
So it's like the AI is taking care of the grunt work.
Right.
And then that allows you to like step up and be more of a like strategic partner.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So that's actually good. It's not a threat. It's an opportunity.
It's an opportunity. Absolutely.
Okay. Now let's talk about something that can be a bit stressful. Salary negotiations.
Oh, yeah. That's a tough one.
Yeah. How can aspiring bookkeepers like approach this conversation with confidence?
Well, Terrell has some great advice here. He says research is key. Know what the market rate is for your skills and experience.
Yeah. Do your homework.
Do your homework, exactly.
Hmm.
And be ready to articulate why you're worth it.
Hmm.
What value do you bring to the table?
Know your worth.
Exactly. Know your worth. Don't be afraid to ask for it. He also recommends framing the conversation as a collaboration, emphasizing the value you bring to the company and how your contributions can help them succeed.
So it's not about being demanding. It's about being like, here's what I can do for you.
Exactly. It's about showing them why you're a good investment.
Okay, good. Now, before we wrap up this section, let's touch on something that's often overlooked. Company culture.
Okay. Yeah, that's important.
How do you find a workplace that, like, aligns with your values and your work style?
Terrell says to do your homework. Go beyond the job description. Talk to people who work at the company. Get a feel for the overall culture. Is it a collaborative environment? Do they value work-life balance? Those kinds of things.
So it's like you're getting the inside scoop.
Yeah, the inside scoop.
Okay, cool.
He's just looking for companies that value teamwork, professional development, work-life balance, and ethical behavior. It's about finding a place where you can be yourself and where your values are aligned with theirs.
It's about finding a place where you can thrive, not just survive.
Exactly.
Okay. I think we need to take a breather for a moment. We've covered a lot.
We have. We've covered a lot.
But it's been so insightful.
It has, yeah. A lot to think about.
Lots to think about. We'll be back soon to, wrap things up.
Okay, so we're back, ready to, wrap up our deep dive into bookkeeping.
I know, it's been a journey.
It really has, yeah.
Lots of twists and turns.
Yeah, for sure. I think we've covered a lot of ground, though.
We have. Yeah, we've debunked some myths.
Right. We've looked at the skills you need.
Yeah, the mindset you need to, succeed in this field.
Right. And I think Terrell's course, it seems like he's thought of everything.
Yeah. For someone who wants to, launch a career in this.
Yeah, to be successful in bookkeeping, he's really gone above and beyond, I think.
I think so, too. To make this knowledge, accessible and fun,
Yeah, engaging.
Right.
It's not your, typical boring accounting course.
Right. I love how he uses those real-world examples, the analogies. I think that makes it so much easier to, grasp.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Especially for someone like me who's not a finance person.
Right.
It's very easy to follow.
Yeah. Yeah, he does a great job of breaking things down, explaining things clearly. I think he's a natural teacher.
I think so, too. He's got that knack for it. And he doesn't just teach you, how to do the work, but, how to think like a bookkeeper.
Yeah, which is that's the key.
Yeah,
right?
That's invaluable.
It is.
Yeah.
Because anyone can learn the steps, but to really think critically and problem solve.
Yeah.
That's what sets you apart.
And that's what his course does, I think, is it helps you develop that mindset.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, and the practical aspects. He actually walks you through, step by step.
Right.
Setting up a chart of accounts, preparing financial statements.
Yeah. All very practical.
Yeah.
Very applicable to what you'd actually be doing in a real job.
So it's not just theory, it's actual application.
Yeah, he gives you those tools.
Okay. Now I want to ask you something. What do you see as the biggest challenges facing bookkeepers today?
Oh, that's a good question. I think one of the biggest challenges is just keeping up with technology.
Yeah, because it's always changing, right?
Always changing, yeah. New software's coming out all the time, and you got to be comfortable adapting and learning new systems.
So you got to be adaptable. You can't be afraid of change.
Absolutely.
Yeah. What else? What else is challenging?
Another one is I think the increasing complexity of tax laws.
Oh, yeah.
And regulations. You really got to have a solid understanding of the tax code.
So it's not just adding and subtracting anymore, huh?
No, it's definitely more than that.
You got to be a little bit of a, tax expert, too.
Yeah, you got to understand how it all works. Yeah. And of course, the demand for data analysis skills. We talked about that.
Yeah.
That's just growing all the time.
Yeah. So bookkeepers need to be able to do more than just record transactions.
All right. You got to be able to extract those insights from the data, help your clients make smart decisions.
Okay. So it's becoming a more strategic role.
Yeah. It's exciting, actually.
It is. It's not just crunching numbers anymore. It's about being a trusted advisor.
Right. It's a partnership.
A partnership. Yeah, I like that.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so I think we've both been really impressed by Terrell and his course.
I have been, yeah. He's a great resource for anyone who wants to get into this field.
He is. It seems like he really wants to help people succeed. And his course is, very affordable. It's accessible.
Yeah, he's really trying to make this information available to everyone.
Okay. So as we wrap up this deep dive, any final thoughts?
Well, if you're intrigued by what we've talked about today, I really encourage you to check out Terrell's free intro course. And with that, I think we'll wrap up this episode of the Deep Dive.
Thanks for joining us.